One of my 2020 goals was to play more roguelikes, and that quest brought me right to Spelunky. Though by no means the first roguelike, that would probably be, Rogue, Spelunky in my mind is the game that proved that the genre's principles could be applied to a much larger spectrum of gameplay styles. The key Rogue attributes of difficulty, permadeath, and randomization got applied to a 2D platformer instead of a top-down RPG. And what a glorious result we ended up with. Spelunky was originally released as a freeware game on Microsoft Windows in 2008 by game designer Derek Yu. A few years later in 2012, it saw an HD reboot, also known as just Spelunky. This version originally hit the Xbox 360 before finding its way to other platforms. I played Spelunky's HD reboot through Steam, and boy did I kind of fall in love. That love wasn't immediate though, nor was it unconditional. I put an hour or two into Spelunky sporadically over the years. I was drawn to it because of the praise it received, but subsequently turned away from it for a pretty simple reason. I sucked. No mistake goes unpunished in Spelunky. Small slip-ups can represent instant death and starting the game from scratch, and these small slip-ups are really easy to make. You begin the game in World 1-1, a mine with maze-like tunnels snaking their way down the shaft. Your starting provisions are meager. You have 4 health points to soak up some damage, you have 4 bombs that can be used to destroy nearby walls and floors, and you have 4 ropes that can be used to ascend and climb out of pits. You need to use these resources to descend all the way through each of the 4 levels within each of the 4 worlds before finally being able to complete the game. But like I said, it's not easy. 4 health points doesn't necessarily give you breathing room for 4 mistakes. Spelunky is littered with one-hit kill spikes, one-hit kill enemies, and tons of booby traps to ensure that each step you take is either going to be very deliberate or the last one you ever will. This type of approach won't be for everyone, and like I said, it wasn't really for me at first. I dropped the game so many times before finally putting a New Year's effort into it, and I'm glad that I did. Ironically, I don't think my death count was any lower this time around, but I put extra focus on taking something away from each of those deaths. Randomized level layouts ensure that you can't brute force your way through the game's challenge, but instead engage with its concepts and understand its depth. Each death was a punishing return to level 1, but also a lesson. A lesson in how the game works, a lesson in how 2 items may interact, a lesson in maybe trying a slightly different approach next time. I died. A lot. I learned. A lot. Slowly but surely I improved. The game was starting to run out of lessons to teach me, and I was reaching a level of competence in overcoming its mechanics. Finally, after hours of demanding gameplay, I finally beat World 1. I died within 20 seconds of starting World 2. Back to the beginning I went, and on to my next attempt I was, taking it just a bit slower the next time through. Thankfully, not everything in the caves is out to get you. Each level has a damsel in distress that can be rescued, giving you an extra bit of health. Your health is persistent as you go from level to level. Mistakes made early on stay with you as you progress, so saving her is usually worth it. In many other games, rescuing this damsel would likely occur by finding her within the level and talking to her, but not in Spelunky. In Spelunky, not only do you need to find her in the level, you have to pick her up and carry her to the exit. Picking her up has some serious gameplay implications, forcing you to not use any items while she's in your arms, and also subjecting her to the same danger that you are in. She's flesh and blood just like you, and she'll die if you're not careful. She can fall into spike traps, or get hit by wayward arrows. How tangible and real the damsel feels is something that extends to other items and characters in the game. It's just one of the things that makes Spelunky, Spelunky. Every aspect of its design is intelligently crafted to interact with its other pieces, but also to serve the game's core gameplay loop of gathering resources, killing enemies, and doing it all again the next level. The resources you collect come in a few different forms. Gathering bombs and ropes are huge. They both serve dual roles as combat and traversal tools, which makes it so that you can never have enough of them. You can also collect gems and money on your way down. In addition to feeding into your leaderboard score, these can be exchanged at some randomly placed shops, which offer up some buffs that last for the rest of your run, and occasionally some weapons. Overall, the most logical way to play the game would be to gather every piece of gold and treasure on the map to maximize your items and overall strength. But that's where another one of Spelunky's subtle little design choices makes itself known. Spelunky features a ghost who appears after a few minutes within each level who chases you around. Making contact with him instantly kills you. This ghost's inclusion adds just the right amount of urgency to each moment within the game. Each level is a tug of war between you trying to gather as many resources as possible, while simultaneously being pushed along by the instant death that you know isn't too far behind you. The picture Spelunky paints is pretty clear. Play deliberately, conserve your resources, improve your gameplay, and eventually what was once a terrifying roadblock becomes a trivial speed bump. 40 hours of overcoming these challenges later, I was finally able to count myself among the gamers who beat Spelunky. There's still more for me to see here, more riddles to solve and secret worlds to uncover, but my self-imposed goal of just beating the core game is over, and I count that as my first big win of 2020. I can sit here all day and write about Spelunky's gameplay mechanics. I'm nearing the end of the review and I've mentioned nothing about Spelunky's co-op, or how diverse and well implemented its enemies are. But at the end of the day, its mechanics aren't what I think about as I write. The aspect of Spelunky continuously compelling me to put pen to paper is how it made me feel. The crushing low of falling prey to one of its traps, followed by the triumphant high of overcoming that challenge in the next run. The gameplay loop here may revolve around going deeper and deeper, but its themes are about taking you higher and higher. Spelunky isn't a game about digging through tunnels, it's a game about climbing mountains. And if there's anything I want you to take away from this review, it's that I want you to climb it too.